Welcome to My First Gig, hosted by me, Ryan Brown. This is a show that explores how professionals and politicians enter the workforce and the lessons they learned along the way. On today's show, we have the honor of talking to Mayor Rosalynn Bliss. Let's be honest, Rosalynn needs no introduction, since she has one of the more distinguished resumes of anyone here in Grand Rapids, but I'm going to try. As mayor of Grand Rapids, she led one of Michigan's fastest growing cities through periods of real momentum and real challenge. From economic development to community trust, from public health to city services, Rosalynn was at the center of it all, making decisions that didn't just shape policy, but shaped everyone's lives. Her time as mayor wasn't about headlines, it was about impact, about listening, navigating complexity, and bringing people together to move a city forward. But leadership like that doesn't just happen. It's built over time, starting with the very first job out of college where the fundamentals take shape: how to communicate, how to lead, and how to earn trust. In this episode, we trace that journey, the early experiences that set the foundation, and how those lessons carried all the way through her time in public office. Today, Rosalynn has taken that experience and brought it to a new kind of leadership role as Assistant Dean and Chief External Relations Officer at Michigan State University College of Human Medicine. There, she's focused on building partnerships, strengthening community connections, and advancing a mission that sits at the intersection of health, education, and impact. Because sometimes the path from your first job to where you are today isn't a straight line. It's a series of moments that prepare you to lead when it matters most. Mayor Bliss, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's
Thank
good
you
to be
for
here.
being here.
Thanks.
Okay, natural first question of this podcast is, what was your first gig?
Oh, my first gig. So my first gig out of college, out of my graduate program, I got a master's degree in social work, was at DeVos Children's Hospital in this small clinic called the Child Protection Team.
Okay.
But I have to say, like so many of my siblings and peers back in the day, in the 90s, I had lots of jobs in high school and college. So I had the typical like McDonald's and Taco Bell, and then I was a waitress my senior year of high school, and then all through college I was a waitress and bartender. So I don't want to diminish those experiences.
Of course not. Well, that's service, right? That's the foundation of service.
It really is. Yeah. It really is. But my first like professional job, where I felt like I started to really build my my skills. Yeah. It was at DeVos Children's Hospital.
Nice. Okay, let's talk about the service jobs though, because those are, I think a lot of the lessons that we carry on throughout our life start in those high school jobs, right? So what do you think were the most important lessons from those jobs that brought you to where you are today?
Well, I think I learned a number of things. One, I loved waitressing and bartending. Like it was just, I was good at it. I tend to move fast. Yeah. I tend to be action oriented. Yeah. I listen pretty well, but I met really incredible people.
That's awesome.
Became close to the, it was a family owned business that I worked at, Antlers. If you don't know, I grew up in Sault Ste. So if you've been to the Sioux and you've been to Antlers, I waitressed there for 5 years.
Nice.
And I loved the family that owned the place, and they just were wonderful people. So I loved that experience. Yeah. But then like those jobs at like McDonald's and Taco Bell. Sure. I think what I learned, I was with a lot of my friends. It was just fun. But I also learned what a crappy boss was like. And I remember thinking, why are you so mean? You don't have to be that way to get things done. So I think I worked with a lot of people that probably shouldn't have been a supervisor or a manager. And I was like, oh my goodness, if I'm ever a manager, I'm not going to be like that.
Totally. So, that's funny. Was work was that just like, was work expected in your family? Was it always like you had to work, you got to earn your keep? Like what was the role of work in your family's life? Yeah.
So I grew up in a big family. Okay. I have, so I grew up in the Sioux, grew up relatively poor. So my dad was a brick mason. Oh, wow. And he would actually travel to Detroit for jobs. And in the winter often was laid off. Gosh. And then my mom worked at a grocery store. Okay. And so I have 6 brothers and 3 sisters. Oh my gosh. 10 of us. And we're all just a year apart. And so really as soon as we could start working, we'd work. Yeah. I got a work permit at 14. Nice. All of my siblings did that. Yeah. We just knew that for most things that we wanted, we had to figure out how to pay for them, whether it was a car or a class ring or a dress for homecoming. Yeah. And so, we all started working at a pretty young age.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's cool. How did you end up here from Sault Ste. Marie? That's a long way.
It is. So I graduated from the Sioux. Okay. I was one of the first in my family to go to college. Okay. And I applied to all Southern schools. for a whole host of reasons, but mostly because I wanted to get away from the snow.
Yeah.
And I got accepted to all the universities I applied to. And then University of South Alabama gave me a scholarship.
Okay.
So I'm a big believer that if you trust your intuition, you end up being exactly where you're meant to be. Mm-hmm. So I was like, oh, that's a sign. I'm supposed to be in Mobile, Alabama, and go to South Alabama. So I went down to South, but I would come back home every summer and work 2 jobs actually, and save up money to go back to school and pay for my apartment and car and all the things, tuition. And so anyway, one summer when I was home working at the Antlers, actually, I met my now ex-husband, who is from Grand Rapids.
Okay, got it.
And so we had a long distance relationship. I graduated from college, moved to Grand Rapids, got married.
Got it.
Went to graduate school at Michigan State.
Okay.
And then after I got my master's degree, shortly after I got divorced, and then I got a little place downtown Grand Rapids.
Nice.
And then I worked at the Children's Hospital.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Can we, before we get to the Children's Hospital, there had to be some culture shock from a Sioux girl moving down to Mobile, Alabama.
It was a very different community.
Yeah.
I was very focused on academics.
Yeah.
And I wanted to graduate in 4 years. Mm-hmm. And I got this crazy idea that I wanted to do a double major. Mm-hmm. So I was literally taking 15 to 20 credits every quarter. We had quarters down there, not semesters at the time. And then I was working full time. Yeah. So honestly, between work and school, I didn't have a lot of extra time. Yeah. I wasn't one of those crazy college kids. I never joined a sorority. I never drank. I was pretty focused.
Gotcha.
So it was
warm
different.
Down here.
It was warm. It was lovely. It was a nice break. Yeah. But I knew pretty quickly that I wanted to come back to Michigan when I graduated. Mm-hmm. I wasn't quite sure where, but I missed my siblings. Yeah. My siblings were getting married and having children, and I just felt like I was missing out on family stuff, and I couldn't get back and forth easily because I just drove back and forth.
Yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, so did you always know you wanted to do social work from a young age, or how did you land in that field?
Oh yeah, this is an interesting story too. So I got my undergraduate degree is in psychology and criminal justice with an emphasis in research. Okay. And I loved research. Yeah. I did some senior honors thesis when I was in undergrad. Mm-hmm. I worked with professors on research. Mm-hmm. Had one of my studies published. I really thought I was going to be a researcher. Yeah. So I looked at graduate programs in psychology. There was a program at Michigan State at the time called Ecological Community Psychology that offered a doctorate degree. So I started looking at that. And then I went and I started applying for graduate schools. Yeah. Started looking at my options. I was married by then, and I was looking at the time commitment it would take and just trying to figure that out in my life at the time. Yeah. Well, then I go to Michigan State. And I was exploring some psychology programs there, and I was talking to a professor, and he says to me, he's like, "My goodness, you sound like a social worker." I was telling him what I was passionate about, what I believed in, that I wanted to do research, but I was really focused on how communities impact people. That I really believe that the context and the environment with where you live impacts you, and you have to change the context in order to help people. And so anyway, he's like, you should go talk to my friends over at the School of Social Work. And I did. My entire undergraduate studies, I never took a social work class.
Oh, really?
Never. I never had considered social work. I was very focused on abnormal psychology and community psychology. Right. So anyway, I went over and I chatted with a professor at the School of Social Work, and she was fabulous, and she's like, you can get your master's degree. You can always go back for a doctorate, but with an MSW, so many doors will open for you. It's not one of those degrees that pigeonholes you like psychology, where basically you're an academic researcher or clinician. Right. And I'm like, well, I like that because I like to do lots of things. Yeah. And so, I ended up applying and getting accepted, and I got, nice. And then I couldn't decide. So I did both at Michigan State at the time. In the School of Social Work, you could get your certificate in clinical or what we call macro administrative. Okay. And I liked both, so I got both. And so I'm like, I'll just see where the world takes me.
That's crazy.
I know, it kind of was.
That is intense.
Yeah.
Not everybody can do that. You're like, let's do both.
I know. I also got certified as a school social worker, but I never did that. So
wow.
I know.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Where did that motivation come from? Because not everybody can just be like, I'll just do both masters. Like, where do you think that started?
I don't know. I've always loved school. I've always loved learning.
Yeah.
As school has come, reading comes easy to me. Math comes easy to me. And so it just felt really natural. And I've always been probably, at the time I was probably, if you talk to my girlfriends that I am still close to today, that I got to know in graduate school, they all like call me like overachiever.
Yeah.
I try not to call myself that. I'm like, no, can't we just be achieving, like an achiever focused person? Not
I don't know you that well, but yeah, you're an overachiever. I think it's safe to say.
So I think growing up, like just being really independent.
Yeah.
And having to figure things out and I've always known, even though I have my siblings, I know if ever anything happened, they would be there for me in a hot second.
Yeah.
I always felt like I had to figure things out myself. Like no one was going to give me anything.
Yeah.
I knew I could never fall back on my parents. My parents were never going to be there to help me out if I needed, because they were trying to figure out their own lives. Yeah. So I think that just created a sense of independence and responsibility. Like I got to figure this out.
Do you think that, you kind of alluded to it, but my wife's father is from a family of 11 kids. My parents are both from somewhat big families for their era. To me, some of that comes from the big family stuff, right? Like you are kind of in it for yourself. There's a lot of love, of course, but there's just there's a lot of people to spread the wealth to. Yeah. And so to me, it seems like some of that's from the big family.
Yeah. What do you think? I absolutely think. Growing up in a big family and you learn so many things. I always would joke about this when I first got elected to office. Yeah. So, you have to listen, you have to share. Yeah. You learn really early that people you love think differently than you and they have different values, but you still love them. Like my brothers, sometimes they say really silly things or stupid things, and I still love them to death, right? And so you give people grace because you know their heart. And when I was first elected to office in 2005 as city commissioner, at the time I was the only female, and I was serving with 6 men. So Mayor Hartwell and 5 other city commissioners. Okay. And I would joke, Commissioner Roy Schmidt was a colleague of mine early on, and he was wonderful and kind of took me under his wing, also Irish. Nice. And so anyway, he and I would
difficult.
Joke. He had a heart for this community, a West Sider. Good. And I would say, I feel like growing up in a family with 6 brothers prepared me for this day. Like working with you 6 guys around this table.
Yeah. That's like, you talked about dealing with different opinions, kind of spreading wealth. That is what politics is, right? Like at a very basic level, the family is kind of the first political life or organization that you join. Yeah.
And I was always... Like if you look at my family, like my sister Renee is the oldest, so she's like the mother hen. She's like a mom to all of us. Yep. But I'm number 7, so usually people, I think birth order goes out. If you're a birth order psychology person, after like 5, I
was going to say by about 5 or 6.
Yeah, that philosophy goes out the windows. I'm number 7. Okay. Out of 10, and then I have 3 little brothers and 3 older brothers. So I'm sandwiched in between my brothers, but I'm the youngest girl. Yeah. So it's interesting. I feel like I was always the glue between like my little brothers and my older brothers, and my, I could get away with things because I was the youngest girl. Anyway,
totally.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's fun.
Cool. Okay. I don't want to skip over the first gig. So what more specifically was it, and what were the main lessons you learned that kind of launched your career from there?
Yeah. So my second year of graduate school, I was an intern at DeVos Children's Hospital with Child Protection Team. And my first year internship was at a domestic violence program in Ionia, which I really liked, but I gravitated to working with just being around the kids in the shelter. Yeah. So I knew I wanted to do something with kids. And so my second year placement was at DeVos Children's Hospital. And when I graduated, they offered me a full-time job. Nice. And so I was a medical social worker, And I was trained and certified as also a forensic interviewer.
Okay.
And what I would do is I worked with a team, a pretty small team. So I worked with a forensic pediatrician who led the team, and then 2 other social workers. And we did a number of things. One, we did assessments whenever there was a child that came into the hospital where there was a concern about abuse or neglect. And then we also worked on an outpatient basis with, at the time, the Children's Assessment Center. It's now called Children's Advocacy Center, where children come in after they've experienced child sexual abuse, and they need sometimes an urgent medical exam or a medical exam, which would entail an interview, which I would do in partnership with the doc, and then they would go in and they would have a medical exam. And typically, if it was urgent, that's when we would collect evidence for a rape kit, and then I would drop it off at the lab, crime lab. But then, because I was a medical social worker working with a pediatrician, my assessment would often be, I'd be able to testify in court because there's an exception to the medical hearsay rule.
Got it. Oh, okay.
So I did that, but then I also did clinical work with kids who had experienced abuse and neglect. Started creating some prevention programs for child sexual abuse and abusive head trauma, or shaken baby syndrome, which it was called at the time. So part of it was the kind of the medical assessments. Working with Dr. Pelusi was his name. Okay. And then I did a lot of clinical work. So group work with kids, individual work with kids. I did parent-child interaction therapy. With mostly moms and kids, trying to improve the relationship and bonding between the parent and the child. And then I would go into the jail and do prevention with in the sober living unit with both men and women who were in jail for some type of typically domestic violence or substance use, where if they had children, there was a higher risk of neglect or abuse. And I would do parenting programs and child abuse prevention work with them.
Wow.
Yeah. It was great work.
That is intense.
Yeah, it was really, really good work.
That's an intense first career job.
Oh, it was such a good experience. I learned so much. Dr. Pelusi was an amazing mentor, coach, friend, supporter. Yeah. Would let me try things. I'd have all these ideas and he'd be like, all right, well, bring it back to me in a proposal. And I had a lot of freedom to try things.
Good boss, whereas some of the service jobs were bad boss. This sounds like a good boss.
He was a great boss. Yeah. And honestly, my boss at the Kinneys at Antlers were also amazing.
Of course. But yes.
Yeah. So, Dr. Pelusi was just, he is still just an incredible human being. But he just was amazing. He was an amazing person to work with.
Yeah. So did you always know you wanted to be a leader in some capacity? Because when I've asked you now twice, what were some of the lessons you learned? You mentioned leadership or good or bad leadership each time.
Yeah, I don't know if, that's such a great question. I don't know if I ever, I don't know if I ever saw myself as a leader or was oh, I want to be a leader.
Right.
I feel like so many of my leadership positions, I ended up, I don't want to say falling into, but I ended up organically becoming a leader. So in undergrad, I was a member of Psych-Hi, our honor society for psychology, and I ended up being the president of Psych-Hi. And in grad school, I was in GradSac, and I ended up being the president of GradSac. And not because I was I want to be president. I was oh, Rosalynn, you should do this, right? Other people were I don't want to do it. You should do it. Yeah. And I think a little bit of that at the Children's Hospital happened too. Dr. Pelusi would be here's an example. I remember one of the first cases I worked on, it was an inpatient case, and it was an abusive head trauma case where a little guy was shaken by a babysitter. Yeah. It was just horribly tragic and severe brain damage. And I remember working with this family and kind of debriefing on the case and talking afterwards and saying, this seems so preventable. Why don't people know you can't shake babies? That the brains are really fragile and there's all this fluid and, and so I just started researching, reading journal articles and looking at what other hospitals did. And I went to Dr. Pelusi and I was like, there's a program out of New York that educates new moms about how fragile brains are of babies. And here are things you should do and not do, and shaking, even though you get really frustrated, put the baby down, walk away, and don't shake, because that's your intuitive, not everyone, but some people, out of frustration. And I said, there's this program in New York, and they started it in the hospital, and it reduced the number of abusive head traumas that came in post, like in the first year of a baby's life, by like 50%. And Dr. Pelusi, and I said, we should do that here. And he's like, well, write a proposal and go ask the Children's Hospital Foundation for funding and see if you can figure it out. And he literally just gave me permission. And I did. And I wrote up the whole proposal, and I went in front of the foundation. And it was so funny because there was a gentleman around the foundation board, and he's like, you're only asking for $30,000? Well, I'll vote to give her $50,000.
Nice.
And I think what I learned was that it's amazing if you're given the opportunity to lead on something and you care deeply about it and you're passionate about it. You can make incredible things happen. I think that's one of the lessons I learned in that first career, and with having a boss who supported me in trying things for the right reasons. No, I think you said he gave you permission. Sometimes that's all people need, right? Because there's a little bit of imposter syndrome that can be in that first job a little bit. But if you have a leader that believes in you and is like, go for it, like, that can be all you need to hear sometimes. Yeah, and here's the other thing I have appreciated over time, and looking back, I don't know if I appreciate it as much now as I did then, or I should say I appreciate it more now than I did then. So I also would volunteer, there's a domestic violence community coordinated response team in Kent County. I want to go volunteer on that board and see if I can help. And there was a sexual assault prevention team, and I'm like, I want to be a part of that. Let me see if I can help. And then you go and you're a part of those, and you start doing stuff like, I'll do that. Or we need to raise money to do a domestic violence guide. We need to create a new website. I can probably figure that out. So I'd raise my hand and be like, I'll try that. And then you follow through, and then everybody's like, Rosalynn, you should do that. Wait, do you want to do that? So once you prove that you are reliable, trustworthy, you care deeply, I think being passionate about something is so critical. If you're not, people can tell. People then just organically want you to lead. Because you show up and you follow through and you're responsible.
So it is. Sometimes it's just that simple, isn't it? Like you're there, you're doing the work, you get it done, and people are like, let's go to her for more stuff. Is that how you got elected mayor? Hard pivot. Sorry.
Wow, that is a hard pivot. No, but I will say, no, it's a great lead-in, because I do think those experiences I was at the Children's Hospital when I ran for office in 2005.
Right.
So I was there for almost 8 years. And during that time, because I just started getting involved in these different truly community groups and organizations, it was through those experiences that I met amazing people in our community who cared deeply about sometimes the same things, sometimes different things. And I'd step up and volunteer for to do events for International Women's Day or a women's march or whatever. I would just be like, I can help with that. And so I got to know a lot of really incredible women. And some of them I started getting together. We would get together and we would just talk about lots of different things, including politics and policies policies impacting women and children. And it was through that getting developing relationships in the community that this small group of women, I mean, this was back in 2004, 2005. They were like, Rosalynn, you should run for office. And I'm like, well, I don't think that's for me. I mean, by then, I'm 29 years old. I'm living in a tiny little apartment. I'm divorced. And I'm like, I'm working 2 jobs. I was working an after-hours shift at Children's Assessment Center, covering after call hours. And I was like, I don't think I have time. I don't think that's for me.
Thanks.
They're like, no, you really should. Just come to some commission meetings with us. And I went to some commission meetings, and I was like, I prayed about it and listened to my heart, and I'm like, okay, I think I should run for office.
Wow.
Yeah. And that's truly how it happened. I was like, and the thing that I was, that hooked me, I should say. I started going to commission meetings, and it was just at the beginning of the economic downturn before the Great Recession. And they kind of saw the writing on the wall that they were starting to experience a reduction in revenues and would have to tighten the belt, as they say. So they started talking about what they would cut, and they had some budget workshops, and I actually attended a couple of them. And they were like, well, we're going to have to close down our swimming pools. So when the decision was made to close down parks, that was really the yes. Because then I felt like I have something that I can work on.
Right.
It felt like I needed.
You didn't just want to run for the sake of running.
Right. I needed a reason to run. And I was like, you know what? I think I know how to raise money. I have a good sense of nonprofit. I know the neighborhoods. And so anyway, I decided to run for City Commission, 2005, largely ran on all things parks, pools, investing in neighborhoods. That was really my platform. And so I won. I won. It was competitive primary and general.
Yeah.
And then was able to serve our city as a second ward commissioner for 10 years.
Awesome.
With Mayor Hartwell, who was just so supportive and such a great mentor. And honestly, very similar to Dr. Pelusi in that I would go to Mayor Hartwell and be like, hey, I want to figure out a way to open up swimming pools, even though I know we have a $33 million debt that we have to solve for, and we're cutting staff.
Yeah.
And he was like, okay. So he allowed me to chair a Blue Ribbon Commission on parks.
Oh, cool.
Where, again, I was able to raise money from a few foundations.
Nice.
And I did all this research about best practices across the country when it comes to vibrant urban parks and playgrounds, and got connected to a few national initiatives around parks and playgrounds and kabooms and all this other national work that was going on, and came out with about 18 recommendations. Wow. And then from that Blue Ribbon Commission, and then started to go through and say, okay, I think I can lead on this and this and this.
Yeah.
So again, went to some of our local foundations and asked them to support me bringing people together to explore starting a nonprofit focused on parks.
Yeah.
And so I was one of the founding members of Friends of Grand Rapids Parks.
Yeah.
Got that off the ground.
Nice.
Raised money for that, served on the board for a long time. And then through a lot of folks that I got to know through that work, we initiated a parks millage for capital improvements.
Yeah.
And then 6 years later, renewed that millage and made it an evergreen. And by then I was like, okay, I really want these things in place to support parks and playgrounds and pools for the long haul, way after I'm gone, even if the next mayor doesn't love parks. Yeah. I want to make sure that there's funding dedicated to parks.
Yeah, yeah.
So that was kind of my city commission years. For 10 years, I worked pretty heavily on neighborhood initiatives and parks. And then Mayor Hartwell, his last term as mayor, the community implemented term limits. Yep. And then he was the one that encouraged me to run for mayor.
Really?
Yeah.
So that came from him.
He was like, you should run. I'm like, By then, so after I got elected city commissioner, I left the Children's Hospital because I needed more flexibility to be able to serve as a city commissioner. So I took a job at St. John's Home, which is a nonprofit here in town, and became the director of Kids First, which was an emergency shelter for abused kids. And then I became the director of the residential program. Yeah. And I did that my entire time as city commissioner. Wow. So I was at St. John's Home when I ran for mayor. Yeah. Kind of thought I could do it all. So I stayed as director and mayor my first year as mayor. And then I realized something's got to give if I'm going to do one of them exceptionally well. So I left St. John's Home, started teaching part-time at Grand Valley, and then served as mayor.
Because, correct me if I'm wrong, but mayor, commissioner, those are not full-time jobs, correct?
They're not. So under our city charter, we are a manager council form of government.
Okay, got it.
So we have a full-time city manager who acts as the CEO of the organization. Yeah. And then you have a part-time elected body that really should only be focused on, according to our charter, policy and budget. Got it. Of course, there's lots of things that you can get involved in on your own accord, which I did. You know, I was involved in a lot of stuff.
As we've learned.
So anyway, but yeah, it really is and there's lots of cities that have that. Right. Have a manager council form of government. Yeah, yeah. Kalamazoo does, Walker does, Muskegon does. Yeah. Austin, Texas, as a manager form of government. It's not that unusual. Ann Arbor has if you think of just city of or state of Michigan. Yeah. But then you have strong mayors like Detroit, Flint, Lansing. Right. I think there's pros and cons to each. Yeah. But I like the stability of having continuity with experts actually leading the organization. It's a full-time job, though. Being mayor is a full-time job.
I keep saying,
look, I'm fine with manager, council form of government, but the mayor should at least be paid a wage where they can focus on serving our city because our city is growing.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's also another podcast, but I agree with you. Okay, I would like to do a little rapid fire and then we can wrap this up, but this has been awesome. Thank you for your time. This is really cool. I'm going to do some rapid fire Grand Rapids mayoral questions.
Okay.
First one.
All right.
What is the best perk of being the mayor of Grand Rapids?
Ooh, best perk. You get invited to everything. There's nothing that happens in the city that you do not know about.
Yeah. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Favorite piece of Grand Rapids lore or legend?
Ooh, there's so many good ones.
You can give a couple. Doesn't have to be one.
Okay, so I love the ghost stories about Grand Rapids.
Okay.
And it's now Max's Tiki Bar, but it used to be McFadden's. So there's many people believe that that's haunted.
Okay.
Because decades ago, a woman was murdered.
Oh man.
She was there alone. Wow. Worked at the front desk and was murdered. So they think that she haunts that building.
Whoa.
There's lots of lores also about like the gypsum mines and but that one's probably one of my favorites. Yeah.
Okay, I'm not going to ask you to pick your favorite park, but favorite outdoor activity to do in West Michigan?
Oh, there's so many. I love kayaking, and I love kayaking on the Grand River, especially if you put your kayak in at
where you go in?
Riverside. I go in at Riverside Park, and I love paddling down towards the city.
Yeah,
and you come around the bend, and all the like the city skyline kind of comes to life. Yeah. But seeing our city from the river is such a unique view. I love it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Final question about Grand Rapids. What everyone says, Grand Rapids is so special. And I believe that as well. I grew up here, moved my whole family back here. What makes it special and different than other cities of similar size?
Yeah, I think what makes Grand Rapids special is that it's the people here. Yeah. Like people who are kind and compassionate, and they genuinely care about other people's, and they care about other people, and they care about this place. Mm-hmm. And I always say, now in my role at Michigan State University, I now, at the College of Human Medicine, part of my job is to build relationships with our hospitals throughout the state of Michigan. Yep. So I'm in the UP or Traverse City or Detroit or Flint or Midland or Lansing. And one thing, and I kind of knew this when I was mayor because I was active at the state level, but I've started to say that Grand Rapids, we are a relationship-based community. Mm-hmm. And other communities can be more transactional.
Right.
But we're totally much more relational. Mm-hmm. Even if it's harder or it takes longer. Yeah. It really is based on relationships. People will step up and do things because of the person that asked them. Yeah. Yeah. And that doesn't always happen in other communities. Right. We're also a very generous community. You know that we're the second most generous city in the country next to Salt Lake.
Didn't know that for sure, but that does not surprise me at all.
Yeah. And it's not, what is beautiful about this is it's not just generosity in dollars, but even in volunteer hours.
Really?
So if you look at the number of people, the percentage of our population that volunteer, but then also how often they volunteer, it's higher than almost any other city in the country. Wow. And I just think that says a lot about the people here.
Yeah. Walking the walk in, talking the talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, your new role as Chief External Relations Officer at Michigan State University. Tell us about it. What are you doing there? Yeah. How'd you land it?
Yeah, I landed it because I actually took a little time off after being mayor. Good. Because I was exhausted. Yeah. And I needed to clear my head. And so I took about 4 months off, and I kind of explored what I wanted to do. I honestly, everybody thought that I knew exactly what I wanted to do. Yeah. And I'm like, I really don't. I need to sit with it and figure it out. Yeah. I talked to a number of different organizations. Yep. And I explored a number of different opportunities. Yeah. And then honestly, Dean Sosa, he was the dean at the time at the College of Human Medicine. I'd known him for a long time. Yeah. Years. And Jerry Koyman, who was at the College of Human Medicine. Yep. doing the role that I'm in now, I knew Jerry for like 25 years.
Yeah.
And they reached out to me, let me know Jerry was going to be retiring, and asked if I was interested. So I learned about the role.
Yeah.
And that's, it just felt like the right thing. It felt like it was a mission that I believed in. And, it's about not only training medical students, but it's about College of Human Medicine. We have a strong rural track program.
Yeah.
Growing up in the UP, I saw how hard it is for people to get the care that they need in close proximity to their homes.
Yeah.
So we have students up in the UP.
Yeah.
We have students in Traverse City. We have students in Midland and Flint and Alpena. And so that really called to me based on my own lived experience.
Right.
And then it's about relationships, right?
Yeah.
It's about building relationships with our partners and figuring out how we can improve communities and better meet the needs of people who need care. So I oversee a team. I'm with a team. I have a team, I should say, that covers government affairs and community engagement and events, communications, and marketing.
Got it.
It's a great team of folks. We focus on the College of Human Medicine, which is headquartered here on the Medical Mile, partnered with Corewell Health, which is our primary partner. And so it just felt like a good place. In a little way, I felt like it was a bit of like a homecoming because I worked at DeVos Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like a very natural, like after all of that career, like, of course this is where you end up.
I work with these amazing researchers and I love research.
Yeah.
So it's just been a fun place to be.
That's great.
And it's like a perfect place after serving our community for 19 years. I feel like I have a strong faith, and I feel like I'm exactly where I'm meant to be in this moment in time. And so it's been this nice little breather, but also I'm able to stay super engaged in the community.
That's great.
Which is really great.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. One last question I ask everybody.
Yeah.
What is the one piece of advice you'd give to young people trying to map out their career?
Oh, it's so hard to pick one.
I know. I keep asking you one. I should say, okay, you can give a couple.
Okay, let me. I would say a couple things.
Sure.
I would say, don't be afraid to try something new.
Yep.
Say yes.
Yep.
I think so often young people can get intimidated, and just try it.
Yeah.
Right? Like find the courage, even if you have to muster it from some place.
Yeah.
Remind yourself that you've done bigger, harder things than this, and just walk into a room, even if you don't know anyone, sit at the table and believe that you have a right to be there. Follow through. Oh my goodness. If I can tell young people anything, like if you say you're going to do something, do it.
Yep.
Like you start to build your professional reputation the moment you step into a room.
Yep.
So if you say something, follow through, be trustworthy, have integrity, show up when you're supposed to show up. And then also figure out how to build meaningful relationships.
Yeah.
I think it's unfortunately a skill that not all young people have, but doors will open for you. Opportunities will come about because of the relationships that you build and other people seeing things in you that maybe you don't even see in yourself.
Totally. Rosalynn is Assistant Dean and Chief External Relations Officer at Michigan State University College of Human Medicine, a former Grand Rapids mayor, and an overall incredible human being. Rosalynn, thank you so much for spending time with us today.
Thank you. This was fun. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Wow, what an interesting first gig. If you enjoyed today's journey through the early career stages of our guests, please subscribe on your podcast service of choice. We appreciate your support and love hearing from you. Feel free to leave a review or send us your feedback. It helps us bring more inspiring stories your way. Join us next time for another insightful episode, and remember, every great career journey starts with a single step. This is My First Gig, brought to you by Truscott Rossman and Say More.